The number one overlooked factor that I see people overlooking before investing in a franchise. Everything around the numbers. Now, don't get me wrong, numbers are important. If the investment doesn't financially make sense, then don't do it. Why are you coming into the franchise? I recommend that you actually ask yourself, do you like the work? Are you passionate about the work that you're going to be doing? We want to make sure that before you come into this business, you're going to enjoy the type of work that we're doing, which is working with kids. I believe the why needs to be stronger than the numbers. Hey everyone, welcome to Courtside Conversations. My name's Emile, founder and owner of Little Boomers Basketball, and it's a pleasure to be your host today. Wherever you're watching today's episode, I hope you're having a booming day, and yes, the pun is intended. My journey to entrepreneurship started on May 1st, 2018 when I launched my first basketball program with 9 kids enrolled. Today, thousands of kids across Australia are thriving in our programs, all thanks to the commitment and passion of our incredible franchisees. This podcast is here to give you real, straightforward, no BS insights into business, entrepreneurship, and what it's like to own a franchise. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. The number one overlooked factor that I see people overlooking before investing in a franchise. Now, I take a lot of discovery calls when somebody's interested in investing in Little Boomers Basketball franchise, and I've heard everything. And every time I get onto a discovery call, I pick up things that people consistently ask, and I'm going to give you those. I'll give you the exact words. Let me see. I've got to see if the numbers add up. I've got to do a bit of number crunching to see if this investment is right for me financially. Yeah, look, if the numbers make sense, I'll be ready to take that next steps. Everything around the numbers. Now, don't get me wrong, numbers are important. If the investment doesn't financially make sense, then don't do it. But here's the one thing that I see people overlooking before they come into the franchise. It's why. Why are you coming into the franchise? Do you like the business? Do you like the work? Are you passionate about the work that the business does? I rarely ever see people on the discovery call talking about the type of work our franchisees do. And I'll give you an example. The other day I was on the phone to a person that was interested in franchising. And when I said, why do you want to own a Little Boomers franchise? A really powerful question that digs deep. He said to me that he currently owns an existing business. He's got a lot of cash and he wants to offload some of that cash into another business venture for his wife to do. Pretty much like a tax deduction on his balance sheet, keeps his wife busy and reduces his tax at the end of the year. Then I said to him, because I'm quite blunt on the discovery calls, I said, so are you coming into this business purely as a write-off, as a tax deduction? And obviously he said, oh, no, I'm just, but he did unreveal his true intentions. I think, guys, before you come into a franchise, you need to actually really ask yourself why you're coming into a franchise. If it's purely for the financial gain, then you're best off just getting a job or getting a government job or something that pays well. I recommend that you actually ask yourself, do you like the work? Are you passionate about the work that you're going to be doing? Now, don't get me wrong, in my industry, I love working with kids. I've been doing it for 10 years. Do I like every single day? Absolutely not. There are some difficult days in my industry and they're not all going to be rosy-glosy. You're going to have difficult days. Anyone that tells you, yeah, do what you love, do what you do, every day is going to be a dream. No, there are some really tough and challenging days. But if you have a strong enough reason and a strong enough purpose and you actually enjoy doing the work, then it's going to make getting through the hard times a lot easier. And what we do at Little Boomers is we do two things. We do a discovery day. So when somebody's interested in franchising, they come down for a discovery day. We call it a courtside experience. They sit on the sideline of our courts. They see how we operate our classes. They see the coaches doing work. They meet Mary, our director. They get a real feel for the business. And then after that, we do something very unique. It's called a test before you invest. It's a 3-day fully immersive experience where the franchisee gets a whistle, gets a shirt, puts it on, and jumps on the court and does some of the coaching in the class, tags alongside the head coach, does a little bit of admin work. And the reason why we do this, right? We don't have to do a test before you invest, right? We don't have to. We can just say after the courtside experience, do you like it? Look, let's go. Let's get an agreement ready. But we do this because we're thinking long term. A franchise agreement on average goes for 5 years. We want to make sure that before you come into this business, you're going to enjoy the type of work that we're doing, which is working with kids. Now, you don't have to be a pro basketball player. In fact, we don't even look for basketball experience. But if you enjoy working with kids, if you enjoy being in your community, speaking to your family, speaking to your parents, if you enjoy sports, those are all the markers that we look for in a potential franchisee. And for us, we do a 3-day test before you invest to make sure that if you're going to commit to this business for 5 years, actually physically see the work we do and participate in the work we do. Because reading an information pack or watching a webinar is one thing, but actually jumping on the tools and getting into the business is a complete different thing. And I'll share with you a story. We had this person that I thought was going to be a really great franchisee. His name was John Paul. He was an excellent guy. You know, he's ran businesses before. He had a great personality, and he was going to be a great cultural fit for what we look for in a franchise. So he'd done his test before his invest, and to be honest, I thought that it was going to be very easy and that he was going to pass everything and we're going to move to the next steps. And after the test before he invested, we had our follow-up conversation, and he said to me, Emile, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for the opportunity of meeting Mary and everybody else. But after doing 3 days on the court, you know, speaking to kids, seeing what the coaches do, I just don't feel like this business is for me. I don't feel like I've got the passion that's going to be able to sustain me for the next 5 years. Hey, just quickly, if you're enjoying today's episode, it will mean the world to me if you can leave a positive review or share it with a friend that may benefit from this. I've also put some bonus resources in the description, including a real franchise case study that you can download under our Franchise Success Blueprint. Hope you find it useful. Enjoy the rest of the episode and rock on. Adios. Now, to be honest, initially I was shocked. I was like, wow, because I didn't see it coming. But then after we had this conversation, we said, look, no worries. I appreciate your time. And we parted ways. Now, imagine if I didn't have that test before you invest and this person came into the network, they would have fizzled out after a year, would have lost interest, would have lost passion, and most likely would have sold their franchise after 6 months or a year. So that was very important, doing this test before you invest. And I highly recommend, if you're looking for a franchise, if you're exploring a franchise, most of them have what's called a discovery day, where you come down and you meet a director or a franchisee, and they have some type of experience where you can actually like jump in and do the work. I know like a lot of hospitality franchises allow you to come in the back kitchen and, you know, flip the patties and do that. They all do some type of discovery day. Guys, don't underestimate this day. It is so very important in actually finding out, are you going to be able to do this work for the next 5 years, right? So yes, the numbers are important and the numbers need to make sense. However, I believe the why needs to be stronger than the numbers. Okay, the numbers are important, but you need to have a strong enough why. And this is why, sorry for using why so much. This is why it's so important that you actually enjoy the type of work that's going to be done and that you're passionate. Number one is it's going to get you through the hard times. Believe me, I've worked in jobs where I really haven't enjoyed it, or I don't see the reason or the efforts where my efforts are going. If you actually see the work you're doing, love the work you're doing, it's going to get you through the hard times, right? When things are tough, you're going to be able to push through. You know, if there's no strong enough why, you're going to look for an exit anytime. Second reason is it's going to improve your bottom line. And I'm telling you this is not fluff. This is scientific. Like, we see our franchisees that are most passionate about working with kids, that are most passionate about our brand, their bottom line is bigger. They're making more revenue and they're making more profit. They love what they do and customers see it, right? Customers, parents and kids see a motivated and passionate franchisee. And on the inverse or the opposite, franchisees that aren't really passionate or motivated, their bottom line shows it. Third reason, guys, why you need to have a strong why is it's going to flow onto your employees. Now, if you're going to become a franchise owner, you're going to have employees under you, right? Now, if you're a very passionate, very vibrant, motivated, you love the work that you're doing, your employees are going to see this as like, damn, this owner, man, he's so passionate. He loves everything. He really cares about the customers. And that's going to flow onto the employees, right? And they're going to be more productive. But also the opposite is true. You know, if you're MIA from the business, they don't see you. When they do see you, you're walking around slugging your feet. you've got posture, you're doom and gloom, you're talking about all these problems. And guess what your employees are going to do? They're going to reflect whatever the image of the owner is. So just remember, it's going to flow onto your employees. And finally, guys, when you have a strong enough why, when you're coming into a franchise, it's going to keep you in the game longer. If you've got a revenue or a profit or any type of financial gain, you're capped, because when you hit that number, that's your maximum. I know where your maximum is. When you hit that number, whatever it is, 100, 200, 300, 500 grand, you're capped. Then you're gonna be like, okay, well, now what? I've hit my target. I've got the money I wanted. Now what? But those that have got a strong enough why, that are coming into the business to serve their community, to make a difference to their community, they're gonna be in the game a lot longer than those that have got a revenue or profit cap. So team, I hope that kind of shed some light of what you need to think about before you're coming into a franchise. You know, everybody talks about the numbers, you know, the P&L, the numbers need to make sense. And like I said, yes, they do need to make sense. But just remember, ask yourself, why are you coming into this franchise? Why that franchise and not this franchise? You need to have a strong enough reason why to get you through the tough times. Guys, I really appreciate you tuning into the episode. In my episode next week, I'm going to talk about something very interesting, and it's a very blurry topic. And the topic of next week's episode is going to be franchisor versus franchisee. Who's really responsible for what? Something I see very common in the franchise industry is people don't know what the responsibility of the franchisor, and people don't know what the responsibility of the franchisee. I'm going to cover that in our episode next week. Take care. Have a great week. God bless.